Hello, this is Siri and you're listening to my favorite podcast, Not Real Art. I live for this shit cause it's totally lit.
Let's go!
Not Real Art, the podcast.
Oh, yeah. We're here
Man One, Mr. X, coming at you.
in his house.
I wonder if we sound as good as we think we do. I'm guessing not.
You think you sound good right now?
Oh, God, I hate the sound of my voice.
Oh.
That's
okay.
the other irony of the fact that we are now podcasting and that I'm podcasting.
At least I have the face for podcasts.
Yes, I definitely have the face for radio. That's awesome. It's
Yeah.
very funny.
So we have that going for us.
Oh, man. So in an earlier episode, you talked about the art world being shady as fuck.
Yeah. It still is, by the way. Hasn't changed.
Well, hundreds of episodes in, nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed.
And but it raises an interesting conversation about ethics in the art world. Who's got them,
Yeah.
if anyone.
Oh, God.
I don't know. Who's the most corrupt? Artists or dealers? Collectors?
Well, it could be anybody, but the art world is just it is shady. It is shady as fuck.
What's the shadiest shit you've seen?
That's loaded because there's so much to unravel there. For example, I've heard of gallery owners who opened up a gallery because they were actually collectors and they were trying to figure out a way to pay less money for the art they're buying. So if they opened up their own art gallery, then they could buy everything at 50%, right?
Right. Sure.
Off retail.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, well, that's,
If
That's-
the artist is still getting their 50%,
then you're like, okay, well, then that's, it's not that shady, right?
I feel like there's a but coming.
But what if you negotiate the art and tell the artist to go down even lower on his price because, this young artist, doesn't know anything, know any better, but he's advised by the gallery owner that if he sells at less, like don't sell at 300, sell at 100, because then you'll sell everything, But little does the artist know that
Sure.
the person who's going to buy all the artwork is the guy who's negotiating him down.
Right.
So you go to these galleries and all of a sudden it's like red dots everywhere. And you as the consumer or as the attendee of the event don't realize that all that art is being bought by one person.
Yeah.
And that one person is the owner of the gallery.
Right.
And the artist finds out at the end of the day, oh, I just got swindled.
Yeah. And that shit's going to come out. I mean, eventually the artist is going to realize, oh, yeah, this guy bought all my stuff.
But here's the thing. Artists are like so fucked up that a lot of artists are like, well, he did buy a lot of my artwork. So, I'd rather make 100 instead of 0,
Right.
even though I could have made 300 somewhere else.
Right.
So, it's one of those things where there's a lot of shady shit happening all the time, different ways. But, I think artists hold some of the blame too. I don't think it's just like, I don't think it's collectors taking advantage of them or galleries taking advantage of artists. Artists are fucking stupid sometimes, and don't have a lot of artists I know. They're scared to stand up for their own fucking shit. Like, and that I never understood. It's like, this is your art. This is stuff you created. It's your fucking blood, sweat, and tears. and you're gonna let someone else dictate how to sell it, where to sell it, how much to sell it for. Come on,
Right.
it's like your shit. This is the art is one of the purest things in
Yeah.
terms of like
Yeah.
it's nothing and you created something.
Right.
So you should have 100% control over all of it.
Right. And it doesn't have to be overly complicated.
No.
Right. So, and I know we want to make it complicated, and I know there's not a one size fits all or perfect formula or what have you, but in my opinion, one very simple way of handling this, if I'm an artist, and again, I'm not saying this is a perfect solution. I'm just saying this is an idea, but I think it has merit.
Right.
Okay. Tell me to fuck off if you disagree. But so most people in life make a salary, right? Or an hourly wage.
Sure.
And, a lot of sort of white collar professions out there, outside of finance. I mean, finance, if you're in finance or work on Wall Street or a hedge fund guy or whatever, God knows what you're making.
Yeah.
But, if you're a lawyer or a doctor or, real estate person or whatever, you're making anywhere from $75,000 to probably $1 million, but probably on average, a lot of folks are making $150,000, $200,000, $250,000, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Just making up numbers. But there's still only 40 hours in a week. I mean, 9 to 5, most people work, anywhere from 40 to 60 hours a week.
Yeah.
Now, some of this gets to kind of quality of life. So, like, imagine, if you're an artist, it's a calling, and you probably are working, whenever and however you want to work. So you're probably working a lot more than 40 hours.
Yep.
But let's just, for example's sake, say you want to maintain a quality of life. You want to work 40 hours a week, right? And let's say you think $150,000 is a good wage. If I can make $150,000,
Sure.
I'm good.
Right.
Then it's a basic math, right?
Yeah.
You divide the 150, right?
Yeah.
By 52 weeks a year, right? You figure out what the hourly wage is for the 40 hours a week.
I'll figure it out. Go ahead. So what is it?
Okay, so $150,000.
Yeah.
Okay, divide that by 52 weeks.
That's $2,884 and some change.
Okay,
a
now
week.
divide that by 40.
Divide that by 40. All right, that's 72 and 12 cents.
So
$72
an hour.
and 12 cents.
Okay. So there you go.
So it's $72 an hour.
So now you can break that down. You have a day rate or a week, whatever you want to do. But if a painting takes you 8 hours,
Yeah.
then whatever 8 times 72 is,
576.
there's your minimum price for the painting.
Yeah.
Minimum price. All
Right.
you need to do is track how many hours it takes you.
Right.
And you figure out what that number is. Charge $50 an hour,
Yeah.
right? That's not rocket science. It's a very basic formula.
Right.
And artists suddenly are making a decent living because if you're making $150,000, but you don't necessarily tell the gallerist or whoever or the buyer,
Sure.
that you're charging $500. You just know that you're not going to take anything less than that, right?
Right.
So you charge $1,000, you double it or whatever it is. But I
Sure.
mean, this isn't rocket science.
Right.
And for artists to have shame or any shame whatsoever in charging a fair, because I'm talking about a fair market
Right,
rate. I'm not
right.
talking about gouging.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about fucking anybody or trying to overcharge. I'm talking about a fair market rate.
Sure. Well, there's nothing about the art market that's fair is the problem.
Yeah, sure.
Because
Here I go again being idealistic and romantic.
But I will agree with you that artists should have a bottom line number
Right.
and never go below that number, because that's where the problem is.
Right.
Because you can make as much money as you fucking want. If you want to ask $1 million for a painting,
Yep.
and it sells for $1 million, God bless you. Okay, but if you give a number, and then you keep going down, and you go below it, and you go below it, and then you're fucked. Because once you start going down, you can never go back up.
Well, but your point is an important one, because as soon as you don't have a bottom line, the ethics go right out the
Totally.
window.
Yep.
the bottom line, holding the bottom line helps to hold people to a certain ethic, a certain standard
Right.
that, if you know what that standard is, you can't be exploited or taken advantage of, and people can't lie, cheat, and steal.
Right.
So,
And so much about the art world is about negotiations, right? Because
so much of life, but especially the art world.
But especially,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
when you go to work, if you have a 9-to-5 job, you're not going in there negotiating with your boss every day.
Right.
He's giving you $15 an hour,
Yeah.
or he's giving you $25 an hour.
Right.
But you don't have to go in there every day and
Right.
say, I
Right.
really want to make 30, but
Sure.
I'm cool with 20.
Right.
Well, welcome to the art world. The art world is every single time you sell a painting, you're negotiating. Every single time you get a project,
Right.
you're negotiating.
Well, and here's the deal, right? For those artists who are uncomfortable negotiating, guess what? You don't have to be.
Yeah.
There are books. There are classes.
Yeah.
Negotiation, the basic principles, strategies around good negotiation
That's right.
is well established. This isn't rocket science. Like it's you don't have to guess. It's all there in a book.
Yeah.
And there's some basic concepts, some basic ideas that if you use, you don't get taken advantage of.
The only book I don't recommend is The Art of the Deal. That's the only one. That one is
Why?
shitty negotiations.
Why? Why? From what I understand, the author's done very well for himself.
Yeah. Other than that, there's a lot of other good books on
Right.
negotiating.
Right.
But the thing is that this bottom line, I always trip out when artists don't have a bottom line, because you know what, they end up doing shit for free. And I'm like, how do you go from you're charging thousands of dollars for something to justifying doing it for free at the end of the day? How do you make that leap, And the bottom line is there is no bottom line. These artists are just like, it goes from like, wow, this is a cool opportunity and I want to make some money. Wouldn't it be great to make this? And then, okay, well, that's not going to happen probably. So why don't I just settle for that? Well, that doesn't look too good. Fuck it. As long as I can do the job, I'll just do it. Even if I'm not getting paid. Right. Because maybe next time I'll get paid.
Well, one of the basic
Never
concepts in negotiating is to, know what your bottom line is, but never give up your right to walk away.
Exactly. Totally.
Say no.
Yep.
Yeah. That level of self-respect and playing hard to get,
yeah,
goes a long way in establishing the value. And what a lot of people don't understand, a lot of artists don't understand, if you say yes to something, if you say yes to doing free work or not charging a fair market rate, what have you,
right,
not only do you devalue the work that you do, but you devalue your whole profession.
Right, yeah.
It impacts all the other artists.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been amazed at what within among artists it's sort of every man or woman for him or herself.
Yeah.
Like the fact that there you would think artists would I don't know, have more camaraderie and more mutual kind of support, or what's the word I'm looking for? You know what I mean? Like more of a team effort,
right?
And it seems at the end of the day, like most people, I guess, artists don't have that that solidarity that you might imagine.
Yeah, and the other thing is, when you say yes to everything, you end up doing shitty work,
right?
Because if you're doing stuff, like, for example, I've had artist friends tell me, oh, I did this job, for X amount of dollars. I know it was kind of low, but I didn't do a lot of work, or I didn't put all my heart into it. Or, I slacked off a little bit on it. Well, is that what you want to be producing? Do you want to be producing half-ass work? That's what you want to be known for?
Right.
So guess what? If you start doing half-ass work, people will notice you're doing half-ass work.
Yeah.
And when they have full budgets, they're going to hire artists who will do it the right way.
Right.
Not half-ass,
Well, and I came up through the commercial art side and the agency world and so on and so forth. And one of the little tricks that you do in that world is you link deliverables to fees. Because, at the end of the day, the conversation's classic. Because, at the end of the day, the buyer is always going to try to negotiate a lower price. I don't care what industry you're talking about. And the seller is always going to should always try to negotiate the highest price. In this case, artists don't do that.
No.
Right? But in the commercial art world and the sort of creative services world and sort of, design firms and so on and so forth, you link deliverables to fees. So, for example, just making up numbers here, but, okay, the budget's $10,000. Okay. Well, we need 3 concepts. Okay, you need 3 concepts. Well, that'll cost you $15,000. Well, we only have $10,000. Okay, well, that's 2 concepts.
Right.
Like, how does that translate into the world of art or muralism or whatever? It's like, oh, well, we only have $5,000 for that mural. Well, then the mural can only be so big.
Right.
I can still rock that wall. I'm not gonna compromise my level of quality or artistic integrity. I just can't paint that big of a wall for that amount of money.
Right.
It's true. What are those dials that you can turn up or down?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you just explained how I pretty much got my whole career started working with brands. One of my biggest, earliest clients was Coca Cola. And when Coke hired me to do murals, the very first meeting we had, when they were flat out. It's funny because the first day asked me, right? This is big, powerful Coke reps from New York flew out to LA, and I'm talking to them, and they're like, "Well, what do you charge for a mural?" And I said, "Well, how big is the mural?" "Well, a mural like this." And they show me some pictures, and I'm like, "Well, probably started about $3,000 or, whatever." And they say, "Okay, well, we don't have $3,000 for a mural. We have $800 for a mural." Right? And it was so crazy because I'm here talking with Coke, thinking, they're talking like they're big shit.
Oh, sure.
And they're offering me $800 a mural.
Yeah.
Right. Now, mind you, I'm like my early 20s or whatever.
Right.
Right. And so they said, but there's no way we already have a budget and it's $800 a mural, but you're going to do 15 murals every summer for us, So, my first instinct was to say, "Fuck you, I'm walking out of here."
Mm-hmm.
You guys have millions of dollars and you're trying to give me this fucking bullshit, fee. So my first instinct was to say, "Fuck you." But number one, I knew that if I said "fuck you," they'd hire someone else for $500. Right?
Sure.
So I said, how can I turn this into a win-win or a positive for me, right? And I said, obviously working with Coke will give me some prestige, will give me some, kind of clout in the ad world or whatever. And I said, and will be obviously a good foot in the door. So I said, let me think about it and I'll get back to you, right? That's another thing. You always tell people you want to think about it. Never just give it up right there. So I thought about it and I said in my own head, if I'm making $800 a day, if that's my rate, $800 a day, is that good? Is that good money or not, right? And at the time, young, my 20s, no kids, just got married. I'm like, you know what? $800 a day is pretty good.
Yep.
So what can I accomplish in a day's work, right? So I figured if no matter what piece of artwork they give me, if it's 8 feet by 10 feet, 8 feet tall by 10 feet wide, right? I can do that every day, any day, every day,
Right.
And I don't have to worry about it. I'm making $800 a day. So if I do 10 murals in 10 days and I'm getting $8,000, fuck it. It's worth it. So that's what I went back to them and I said, okay, I'm willing to, because they were not going to budge. I came down and said, well, what if we did 1,500 a mural? They're like, nope, we only have 800. So no matter what I said, they were firm with that number. So I said, okay, I'll agree to $800 a mural, but the mural can be no larger than 8 by 10. And they were like, sounds good to us,
Yep.
So that was the deal.
Right.
So next thing you know, I'm doing 15 murals every summer for $800 a mural, which is not, it's pretty shitty if you look at what, the size of Coke. But that turned into a 10-year engagement with them. So I did that for 10 years. And bigger than that, all these other opportunities came in.
Yep.
That had nothing to do with this art program. So I got to paint their museum in Las Vegas. I got to paint their offices and headquarters in Atlanta. I went to Texas. I traveled all over the world. Not the world, all over the country, doing Coke murals, and for my own fee. So that was another thing. Was this price that I gave them was a very specific price, only for that particular project.
Sure.
Anything outside of that project was renegotiated, and guess what? They gave me whatever I asked for at that point. So. When I did a mural for $10,000, they wouldn't even blink because I was already vetted.
Right.
They knew I was, doing good work. I was already in the system, so to speak.
Right. Sure.
So
proven resource.
Yeah. So I was able to flip it and use it to my advantage.
Yep.
And then it was very simple because, for example, one time they had me do 4 murals on one wall, right? They wanted me to do the entire wall, and I said, well, that's bigger than 8 by 10, so I'll charge you for 4 murals,
right?
Because it's the size of 4 murals,
right? Right.
And so they were like, okay, that makes sense. So they could, I was able to break it down to them so that they can figure it out and make sense for their fucking budget,
The irony of this conversation is that it's making me thirsty for a Pepsi.
Oh man!
All right, my friend.
Cool.
Great hanging out. Thank you for talking shit.
It's an artist tip.
It's always a pleasure to sit down with you, my friend. You have a beautiful evening.
All right, you too, brother.
Later.
Peace out.